Hello, my name's Mark Saunders, and this YouTube video presentation is on research questions. It's concerned with descriptive, exploratory, explanatory and evaluative questions and the words we use to signify questions. Other YouTube video presentations are available on this channel, Mark Saunders on Research Methods, and the link is in the bottom left-hand corner of each slide. In this presentation, we're going to be looking at why we need to have clear research questions, words that ask questions, different types of research questions, descriptive questions, exploratory questions, explanatory questions, and evaluative questions, and then we're going to finish by looking at the Goldilocks test. Let's start by looking at the need for a clear research question. Now, many of you will have heard of the story of Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, a little girl who goes down a rabbit hole, and in this imaginary world she's walking along and she comes to a path which has a fork in it. She could go left and she could go right, and she wonders which way to go. And the cat asks her, "Where do you want to end up?" And Alice says, "I don't know." And so the cat says, "It doesn't matter which way you go then." Now this links us into the idea of why we need to have a clear question, because it shows us the pathway we want to go. It provides us focus and direction. It's illogical to spend time extracting meaning from a poorly developed study using either primary data or secondary data if you don't know where you want to go, in terms of you don't know what you're trying to answer. So a clear, overarching research question not only gives you focus and direction, but it also helps you turn your idea into something that is feasible. Let's start off by looking at words that ask a question. And to do this, we're going to go to Rudyard Kipling's Just So stories, and in particular, the story about the elephant and how he got his long trunk. Now, the crucial part for us in this story is a rhyme that appears in the tale, and this says, "I kept 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. The names are what and why and when and how and where and who." And these are different words that can be used to ask questions. If we look at them, we have words like what, when, who and where, and these force us to describe. Words like how and what, or indeed to what extent, can also, if they're used slightly differently in a question, force us to explore something, find out when we don't know. Words like why help us to explain. And words at the start of a sentence like how and what and to what extent can also be used to actually help us evaluate things. So we have these words can be used in different ways to get 4 different types of question. We're going to start by looking at descriptive questions. These focus on describing or defining a topic. So a descriptive question could be, who are the companies who've undertaken product recalls? That would produce a list or describe who the companies are. When do organisations use cyber vetting? Again, it would describe. Or where do small business startups borrow money from? We're now going to look at exploratory questions. Exploratory questions aim to define the research space and are useful for finding out new insights. So an exploratory question could be, what is the relationship, if any, between consumer trust and product recalls? The if any allows us to find no relationship at all. How, if at all, are organisations using cyber vetting in graduate recruitment? The if at all in brackets allows us not to find any of them using it at all. And then finally, to what extent are small business startups' borrowing decisions influenced by their owners' needs for independence? We're now going to look at explanatory questions. Explanatory questions explain why, and not surprised they include and often start with the word why. Why do consumers trust brands following product recalls? Why are organisations using cyber vetting to predict person-environment fit and also incompetence in graduate recruitment? Why do small businesses, startups, decide to use a range of financing sources? Evaluative questions help to refine things and help to provide solutions to improve. So they say how well or how badly is something happening. An evaluative question could be, how effective is brand equity in media campaigns in increasing consumer trust, value and loyalty? An alternative could be, to what extent is the use of cyber vetting predicting personal environment fit and competence in graduate recruitment? And another one could be, what is the relative importance of factors influencing small business startups' borrowing decisions? We can evaluate our questions using the Goldilocks test. The Goldilocks test is named after a little child who went for a walk in a wood and discovered a house where 3 bears lived. And she tried the porridge in the house, and she tried 3 different bowls. One was too hot, one was too cold, and one was just right. She then tried the beds to have a nap. One was too big, one was too small, and one was just right. And similarly, we can evaluate our research questions. Is the research question too big to be done in the time available? Is it too small to actually give enough data as is required by our assessment criteria? Is it a topic which is politically hot, where perhaps if we're working part-time for an organisation, doing this topic could be dangerous for us in terms of career? Or is our research question just right? In terms of references and further reading, the paper by Alverson and Sandberg on generating research questions through problematization is really useful and a good read. Brooks, Carrolls and Kipling are all the stories which I referred to earlier if you want to be able to read them. The Clough and Nut-Brown book is very good on the Goldilocks test and also has other tests you can use for your research questions. And finally, I suggest you look at Research Methods for Business Students, Chapter 2.